Street Rod Headquarters, your single source street rod provider, proudly presents JF Customs TV.
In an automotive world full of people who want to be heroes, there's a young Canadian team that has impacted the industry at a whole new level.
You're watching JF Customs TV.
Well, welcome back to JF Customs. This week I want to introduce you guys to one of the bigger projects that we're doing in the shop, something that's going to be a personal project of mine again. This car is a 1963 Riviera. It's a concept that I came up with when I was at Columbus last year doing the autocross with the wagon. It's one of those things that a lot of people think that because we're a custom shop that we can't sort of dwell into the street machines, and I wanted to prove that yeah, we can go deep into the 60s and build a street machine that can not only compete but that has our JF Customs touch, the custom body, so it's a unique piece. It's not a 69 Camaro, it's not a modified 69 Camaro, it's not a early Mustang, it's its own car. We used a very unique car. A Buick, in essence, since the first days of the Buick, has been an easy car to make into a custom. This particular car is going to have a custom flair as far as the amount we've cut it apart. We took 10 inches out of the length of the quarter panel just to make the car look short enough. I'm making the car really into a two-seater sport coupe. So if you will, feature that at GM, there was a Corvette sitting on the one side of the design room, and then Buick said, hey, you know what? We're going to build a cool two-seater sport coupe to compete with the Corvette. What would it look like in 1963? Maybe it would look like this. What we did is we stole the rear window and the roof section off a 71 boat tail Riviera. And if you've ever seen those cars, they're quite ugly at the back. A lot of people don't like them as far as styling, but they were ahead of their time again. So because I really wanted a sports car and a sports car look, the proportions of the car had to radically change. The wheel well openings on the front fenders, for example, were too far back because the Riviera is more of a luxury car. It is a sporty luxury car, but it wasn't what we were looking for, that full-on sport race car look. So I took the front wheel wells, moved them 3 inches forward. I took the rear quarter panels, took 10 inches out right after the door. And then again, after the wheel well, I had to shorten it another 8 inches. So if you can feature now, the car is 18 inches shorter than it started out as. The wheelbase has been altered on the front and back. The trickiest piece of putting this puzzle together, we didn't even know if the car could exist, was trying to get this roof to fit. The idea was good, and on tape measure, it seemed to measure out like we could do something with it, right? What happened is that once we got the roof cut off to 71, the car is so much wider, and by so much wider, I mean like 6 inches on both sides. The car's a full foot wider. So when we laid the roof down, it's almost like the car had wings sticking out the side. So we had a lot of sheet metal to try to have to rework and sort of become an integral part of the early 63 Riviera. We were able to do a great job of the quarter panels on that and get the flow and the thing to look right. We also had to take 14 inches out of the length of the roof of the 71 to get it again to fit proportionately with the car. So again, if you can envision, you know, Buick's version of a steel Corvette, maybe that's what we're after here. A little wider, a little longer, but proportionately it would be correct. So some of the other features the car is going to have, it's going to have a built-in roll cage. And by built-in, I mean it should be basically hidden by the headliner. The car may not get a cloth headliner that we're used to. We may actually design a really cool tin headliner, but we would like to hide as much of the roll cage as possible so that we're still able to race the car and compete with it, but we haven't sort of ruined the look of the car as far as sort of a race era.
We'll be right back. This episode is sponsored by Lordco, Flowmaster, Canadian Hot Rod Magazine, A&W, Curtis Speed Wheels. Stay tuned for more stuff from JF Customs TV.
We, for one, don't have enough space in the shop. Oftentimes we're tripping over each other. There's a lot of guys here. We have cars in the way, especially when the boss's car is front row and center and always in the way. We always end up having to push cars in, push cars out. A lot of that stuff just seems to keep a bit of a messier shop than we'd like, but we like to think we're more productive than we are just sort of posing as a productive shop. So though riding really takes me to a different world. It helps me get my mind off the shop, off the stresses, off the employees, the bills, the things we have to do around here to make a living. It allows me to usually come home with a really clear head and get excited about cars again and get creative. I ride with a bunch of young guys, and that's just, it's weird because it's a different generation gap. They don't worry about mortgages, they don't worry about their jobs. They just worry if they can afford to buy some fuel for their bikes, and they're really, really brave. It ends up putting me in some predicaments that I probably shouldn't be in, but some of them are really fun. Long story short, last week they talked me into doing something that I had on my bucket list. I'd told myself ever since I'd seen somebody do a backflip on a motorcycle that one day I just wanted a picture of myself upside down. Whether I landed it or not didn't matter. Whether I took myself to the hospital doing it, it wouldn't matter. And sure enough, those guys make it look so easy. I ended up taking a shot at it, and after falling on my head, I think it was 6 times I landed upside down. Luckily in foam, but broke my helmet, broke my kid's bike. I ended up landing one. So I guess it's one of those things you can just cross it off the bucket list. So that was pretty special. All right, that's it for this week. Thanks for watching. Next week, we're gonna have some more on the Riviera, bring you guys up to speed on where we're at. We'll take you guys and do a how-to. We did a fiberglass headliner for one of our customers' cars. We'd like to show you how that's done because I know a lot of you guys want to see a little bit about the inner workings of the shop. That's what we'll give you. See you soon.
So close, no matter how far, couldn't be much more from the heart. Forever trusting who we are, and nothing else matters. Never opened myself this way. Life is ours, we live it our way. All these words I don't just say, and nothing else matters. Trust I seek and I find in you. Every day for is something new. Open mind for a different view. And nothing else matters. Never cared for what they say. Never cared for games they play.
See you guys next week.